Hello. This week's topic is equal rights, civil rights, which is in Chapter 5. So please make sure you read the chapter before you answer the written question for the week. I wanted to give you a little background about this topic. Civil rights refers to the right to equal treatment that all people have in the United States. This right can be found in the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The 14th Amendment contains an equal protection clause, which essentially says that the government, whether it's federal or state, cannot treat anyone differently. Now, there are occasions when government can treat people differently if there's a rational basis to the unequal treatment. One example I always give in class is the drinking age. We have a legal drinking age because it's a safety and health issue for the states to deal with, and they have a legitimate reason to establish that people have to be a certain age to purchase and consume alcohol in this country or in the state where they live. So that is considered to be an acceptable form of what some might call unequal treatment because there is a rational basis to the distinction. But the courts have established, the federal courts and particularly the Supreme Court have established that it is never acceptable to treat somebody differently because of their race, their religion, their ethnicity, and essentially also their gender. Although the courts have made some exceptions in terms of gender distinctions, but generally those are categories that we consider to be protected, and that means the government must have a necessary reason for why it would treat people differently, and the courts would almost never accept the unequal treatment based on those categories. All of this, again, is rooted in the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. A couple of issues that have come up more recently with regard to equal treatment under the law is how we treat people who are LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. Certainly, this has come up with the issue of equal marriage rights, same-sex marriage. In 2015, the Supreme Court ruled that same-sex couples do have a legal and constitutional right to be married. And so the court basically overturned laws in states, including Michigan, that prohibited same-sex couples from being married legally. And the court's reasoning was based on the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause, and they said that essentially it was a denial of equal rights to same-sex couples to prohibit them from being married legally when opposite-sex couples had that right already. So that's an example of, again, equality in terms of sexual orientation. There are still other issues with regard to sexual orientation and gender identity that have come up. For example, under federal and many state laws, it is still legal to refuse service to someone because of their sexual orientation or gender identity, or to refuse to hire them for a job because of those characteristics. And so there have been efforts to pass federal and or state laws to protect people based on the sexual orientation and gender identity. And currently there's a big debate about the role of transgender soldiers in the military. Transgender people have served in the military for a long time. Under President Obama, there was an effort to allow transgender troops to serve openly in the military, as they do in many other countries. But under President Trump, there's an effort now to prohibit the service of transgender troops in the military. So that's certainly become a very political debate. So there are a lot of issues with regard to equality in the 14th Amendment. So as you consider the written question and as you look at the rest of the chapter, we think about the different ways in which the government in our history has treated people differently. If you go back to slavery and the Jim Crow laws in the South, and then more recently the issues that have confronted other groups as well, and then how the government and or society has tried to deal with those issues. If you have any questions, please email me, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you.